Good morning. Today is Tuesday, February 27th, and if you were here for the Legislative and Human Resource Committee, you are in the right place. Thank you for everyone for being here today. The first item on our agenda is public comment. If you can state your name and address to the group, and no more than 3 minutes, please.
It's good to have 3 instead of 2. How you doing, everybody? I'm D. Jones, passionate entrepreneur and visionary. And I just wanted to come and speak to you guys about the $100,000 esports finals. I'll be sure that every one of you get this nice, beautiful flyer here, because this is the largest cash prizes in state history, and it's here on the west side of the state instead of the east side of the state. And I'm very happy to bring this here to you because I've been here. I've told you guys that I was going to come to King County Board. I was going to be authentic and genuine and unapologetic of everything that I've said here at King County Board, because I'm a genuine human being and I stand on business, as they say in the hood. So I wanted to be sure that I got you guys this nice, beautiful, binging flyer, because I do believe like flowers is a beautiful thing because it shows growth, and I believe I've been on a beautiful, floral, authentic, organic vision and journey, and I am going to truly change our economy one day. I'm a global visionary. I'm actually going to be flying to Las Vegas soon to be speaking on a panel at the Caesars Palace, speaking about gaming and game design, and I want to let you guys know that I spoke to a 7-year-old kid. So I was posted up in the hood yesterday, and I seen this kid, and he had a PS5 controller on his shirt. And I was just like, hey, what games do you like to play? And he was like, I like GTA and I like Fortnite. And I just got the dying laugh. And I was like, I know the people who develop Fortnite. And then his parents caught him inside the house. And then he actually ran back outside, and he was like, do you really know the people who develop Fortnite? And I don't sell people dreams, as you guys know. I'm honest about the things that I say and the things that I put out to the universe. I was just like, yeah. So I showed him that I was friends with people who worked for Epic Games, the head of education. And then me and him got to speaking about Fortnite. And this kid is getting in lobbies, and he's going against 99 people in lobbies, and he's coming out victorious when he's going in these lobbies and playing Fortnite. And it's actually a hard thing to do. And he's 7 years old, and he's developing games in Fortnite. I'm like, this is a 7-year-old kid. The youth is the future. Those young black kids, those young kids of color, those young white kids, those kids are the future. And you guys need to invest into those kids. You guys need to bipartisanly invest into our community. You guys need to give back and put your political differences aside and stand up for the community and do the duties that you guys actually serve, because you guys are actually servants of the community. That's what you guys ran for. You guys have power over legislation and of a lot of funding that comes from the state, funding that comes from the federal government, that can change communities, that can change the trajectory of lives. And if you guys don't do it, I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show every single person how to do this authentically, passionately, and give it all that you got, because that's all that I did. And now I got this nice UEL hat. You probably didn't even notice the hat is on the flyer. I got this stuff sent to me, and that I'm a vice president of a esports company in Detroit, and now we actually started our first production of our energy drink that's organic and it's not bad for people. Like, I'm doing a lot of things, and I'm just very happy to bring this here to King County, and I'm going to change the economic trajectory of our community. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the committee? Seeing no one, we'll close that part of our agenda. Can I have approval of last meeting's minutes? I will need a motion and support. Motion by Hennessy, supported by Pakla. Any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed? That has been approved. Next item on our agenda, Becky Beckler, Public Affairs, Legislative Update. Thank you, Becky. Appreciate you being here this morning.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's nice to be here this morning. Now that the governor has provided her State of the State address as well as her budget recommendations for the 2025 budget, the legislature is now working on their budget as well as other policy initiatives. I will say that their pace of work is much slower than last year. If you'll recall, last year they started out and had a very aggressive agenda, moved very quickly, accomplished those goals that they set out to accomplish. This year is a little bit different. Some of it is because right now, currently, the House of Representatives is at a 54-54 tie, which means that both House and both Democrats and Republicans need somebody from the other side of the aisle to help them pass a piece of legislation. And at this moment in time, the cooperation seems to be limited. It's almost at a standstill, so we're kind of waiting until the end of April. There were two members of the House that vacated their seats in November. They won their seats for mayoral elections in Warren and Westland. And so they're down to a 54-54. We believe at the end of April, it would be back up to 56-54. And then I believe that we'll be back into a more regular cadence, if you will. As a result of the House being at somewhat of a standstill, the Senate has slowed down what they're doing as well. So their committee meetings are fewer and fewer, and their subcommittees are going about working as well. But it's a slower pace. So I'm going to focus on the budget, and then there's an economic package that I want to talk to you about, because those are really the two priorities for this legislature before they leave in June. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. There are some good things in the budget presentation that the governor presented. One of them is a 5% increase to county revenue sharing. It's a mix of unrestricted and restricted formats. However, if this happens to get through to the finish line, it's a $26 million increase to current funding, so that is good news. They've also recommended $11 million for statutory revenue sharing dedicated specifically to public safety, including employment recruitment, retention, training, and equipment for first responders. $5 million to establish training, recruitment, and retention grants to support local law enforcement, and $5.5 million for community violence intervention services. They're also recommending $35 million to implement recommendations from the Racial Disparities Task Force, including neighborhood health grants and mobile health units. Also recommended is a $1.5 million fund grant program for nonprofit organizations to reduce veteran homelessness. On the court side, we have some good news as well. Last year, we were able to pass legislation, create a new judge in Kent County, and within the judicial budget, there is money to actually support that new judge, as well as another judge in Macomb County, and increases for the Supreme Court judges as recommended by the State Officers Compensation Commission. There's also $30 million dedicated to allow the state of Michigan to apply for a Section 1115 waiver. And this would, from the federal government, this would really relieve counties of some of the healthcare costs that they bear because of a Medicaid inmate exclusion policy. This would now allow the prisoners or individuals in prison, jail, or in a secure juvenile justice program to capture Medicaid services so that we're not taking them into the emergency room. So it's a huge cost to counties and something that we will be promoting throughout the budget process. The budget also calls for full funding for the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission, but it does not expand the MIDC services to juvenile defendants. As part of that, they're recommending $38 million for inpatient child care payment methodology to assist with capacity issues, $3.5 million for juvenile staff and programming, $5 million for capital expenditures for juvenile facilities, something that is very much needed. When it comes to infrastructure, the governor is recommending $15 million for stormwater improvements. And perhaps one of the more controversial measures that the governor is recommending is increasing the tipping fees to place waste in landfills, moving it from 36 cents to $5 per ton. This recommendation would raise $80 million for environmental remediation efforts, recycling, and landfill operations. I do want to caution you that the legislature has immediately been pushing back on this. So I don't think the $5 is something that will likely to happen. It may be at a much reduced rate, but it is getting some significant pushback from stakeholders as well as individuals in the legislature. Within the governor's State of the State, she had recommended a couple programs that are appearing in the budget. One of them is a $5,000 tax credit for families who care for aging or sick relatives, and that would be a $37 million recommendation. This is something I think she's pivoted away from the work from home, the paid sick leave program that she proposed this last fall that the legislature was not interested in moving forward. So this is somewhat of a lighter version of that she's proposing. She also is proposing a $1,000 rebate when purchasing a new vehicle, or $2,000 if you buy an electric or plug-in vehicle, and an additional $500 rebate for union-assembled vehicles, and that's a $25 million price tag. On the public health front, she is following Senator Stabenow's CCBHC expansion. This is certified community behavioral health clinics. She'd like to expand that at $193 million. She also wants to continue the Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies program to assist new and expecting mothers that they receive the care they need and reduce the racial disparities for $15 million. There's also an 85% wage increase for non-direct nursing home care staff. And she's also creating a nurse incentive program to recruit and retrain staff at $10 million. This investment provides $5 million to support nurses that work in state-operated facilities and $5 million for those that are in non-state operated facilities. On the economic development front, this is something that the governor had recommended last fall. She wanted some additional tools, if you will, for the state to use to incentivize business to relocate in Michigan, and some of that is showing up in the state budget. It's something that she wanted last fall. The legislature was a little slow to move last fall, so it's again something that she's working with the legislature to see if we can get that done by the end of June. That is her goal. One of them is to increase SOAR funding. This is the economic tool for the MEDC to use to try to recruit businesses. It's called the Strategic Outreach Attraction Reserve Fund. She would like another $500 million deposited into that fund. She also would like to establish a new innovation fund to invest in scalable startups and help launch the new Michigan-based companies for $60 million. She also is creating a research and development tax credit. That's something that's already moved through the House, is sitting in the Senate. It's $100 million. We are one of just 8 states that don't have an R&D tax credit, so she would like to have a R&D tax credit in Michigan. It does have a $2 million cap in it for businesses, but it's something that is called for by the business community. Would really like this R&D tax credit. One of the other things that they're doing is we are one of 8 states without a job creation incentive tax credit. And this would allow businesses to capture the personal income tax withholding from new jobs that they create. It's not only for large businesses, but it's small business as well. So if you're 250 plus new jobs at 125% of the regional median wage, you are eligible for this, or 25 new jobs at 150% of the regional median wage. And this is a $200 million investment for the state of Michigan. On the education front, the governor is calling for a 2.5% increase in per pupil funding, also a 2.5% increase for community colleges and universities. Also a controversial measure is she is asking for to redirect $670 million from the state's education pension fund to help fund some of the K-12 preschool and other school aid. That is also, I just want to say, in talking with legislators, getting a tremendous amount of pushback. It's something that previous governors have tried. I believe former Governor Granholm put this in a budget recommendation. It was not successful, and Governor Whitmer is also going to try this. But initial read from some of the key legislators as this could be an uphill battle for the governor to get across the finish line. There's a couple of other items that are non-budget related that could have some impact on the county that I wanted to talk about. There is an effort by Senator Sam Singh and Representative Phil Skaggs to create a statewide septic code. We're one of, again, few states that don't have a statewide septic code, and both of these legislators are taking a very serious effort to see if they could prepare some legislation that actually could get signed by the governor. I know Adam London from our Department of Public Health has been actively engaged in those conversations, so we're cautiously optimistic that we may be able to see a hearing in the next couple weeks on that issue. We also had some legislation, House Bill 5203, Representatives Kelly Breen had offered, which will allow county boards of commissioners to choose if retired county employees who work at a sheriff's office can continue to receive retirement benefits during their period of reemployment. This again would give another tool in the toolbox for counties as they see staffing shortages. That's a general overview of some of the issues in the budget that I thought would be of interest to you. I'd be happy to answer any questions or get more detail on issues that I haven't covered.
All right, thank you, Becky. Commissioners, any comments or questions? I mean, I know I'll have a few here. Commissioner Diaz.
Thank you, Chair. I was curious to see if you had heard anything about rent stabilization bills. I know that in the governor's State of the State address, she used the line that a lot of activists have been using as far as the rent is too damn high, but it's one thing to use a line in the State of the State address and another to actually try and pass a bill or advocate for a bill. So I was wondering if you had heard anything in regards to that.
So I'll have to check specifically in the budget if there are any recommendations. I will say there are, I believe, 2 or 3 packages of bills in the legislature. One of them had a hearing last week. Another has a hearing today, Tuesday. in the different housing committees, and I'd be happy to send those proposals to you for your review.
Yeah, thank you, because I'm just curious to see if it's, I know that they're essentially thinking about giving more control to local government to be able to decide whether or not they would have ordinances, and I think counties are included, but I wasn't sure, so it'd be interesting to read.
I will check for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Burrow. So the hotel motel tax, I've been so busy, I've lost track of where we're at. Does that still need state approval? Is it moving along, not along? Because people are rolling out these plans dependent on that, and we don't even know if that's gonna happen.
So the hotel motel tax is not been remitted to the governor. So it has passed the House, it passed the Senate, and when it returned to the House, the House of Representatives then remits it to the governor. The governor's office asked that they not do that. They're holding it off. I do not believe that the governor intends to veto this bill at all. I think what she's wanting is the other incentive pieces that I talked about, the R&D tax credit, the higher Michigan proposals. I think what she would like is to be able to sign all of these together in one nice economic development package. So we're hopeful that by the end of April or 1st of May, we could perhaps get all these other pieces in line so that they can all come to the governor simultaneously.
So the way it was reading, this is just targeted at specific counties which tend to be affluent, large populations. Is there any mention of why smaller counties can't do this? And is any pushback from the rep small counties saying, I mean, why can't we use this as a tool too?
So during the process, it was negotiated highly in the House. Representative John Fitzgerald was working with all of his colleagues to get this in the best possible place to get it passed. So I think the version we have is the version that they were actually able to move forward. I know there are a few counties that want to be included, and there are other legislators that are preparing legislation to include some of the other counties to allow this. So it'll probably be a separate piece of legislation for those that were not included in this first wave.
So then final, same thing along taxation and the use of tax dollars. The MEDC, is there any accountability to them? Because most of the targeted funds, once again, are for large counties, affluent companies that are expanding, and the small counties around the state of Michigan, and even the ones that border Kent County, are just left out of this pile of money. And I've tried over my 10 years as an elected official to figure out how they are funded and where's the accountability on how they spend their money.
That is a conversation in the legislature right now. When I refer to the SOAR and the governor requesting another $500 million, initially the governor wanted to remove a requirement. Right now, if the MEDC approves or wants to move forward with a project, they have to have legislative approval. So they put their proposal in, and the appropriations process, they need to advance that through just the appropriations committees. The governor wanted to remove that. She thought that was actually slowing down a process, but I believe she's given up on that. So there is, the legislature does have to approve what the MEDC through SOAR would like to recommend. They do have that opportunity. Some of these are within the appropriations process as well. So they are trying, the legislature is trying to make sure that they have a say in how that is used. I do know in the governor, she did, while it's only $1.5 million, she is trying to speak to the rural, smaller organizations that want to create jobs. So I think she's trying to help those smaller businesses as well.
All right, Commissioner LeGrand.
Thank you, Chair. A few questions. You brought up the courts. Is there any movement on court funding itself? Courts relying on fines and costs. We know that needs to change, but that can has been kicked down the road for years now. Is there any legislation in committee? Is there any movement on anything?
So we do have legislation that will continue to kick that can down the road. Representative Sarah Leitner has legislation. We were texting back and forth last night, and she and I will be meeting with Representative Kara Hope, who is the chair of that committee, to see if we can get that moving. I think we have to have it completed by the end of May, if I recall. There are some timeframes. I know that the House Republicans did bring this up in a caucus last week about having the urgency. So when I referred to the House is moving at a very slow pace, not working well together right now, it's an issue that Representative Leitner brought up of we need to set that aside because we need to take care of our counties. So I'll probably have more information after this week, but yes, we do have legislation. We just need to get that going.
It is just another kick the can?
It is correct. Yes.
Piece of legislation, it's not solving it?
Correct.
Okay. Can you give us a little more detail on the juvenile spending for, you said there was a whole variety of spending. How will that affect us here in Kent County? Will we get money for capital improvements, expansion of our facilities at all?
So I think that is a process that's ongoing. I know that Director Hertel was actually here last week, meeting with WMPC. They are redoing contracting, so that will have an impact on the county, absolutely. She believes it will be positive, but they are reworking the contracts, which is going to cause a little bit of heartburn, but they do need to expand capacity. They understand that that is an urgent need. And I'd be happy to get you a lot of the detail on the juvenile justice program and all the expansion, because it's about 2 pages long. So why don't I send that to you for your review?
I would really like that.
Thank you.
Thanks. And then I'm just wondering, is there any appetite for a lower than $5 a ton tipping fee? I mean, I know this is something Governor Schneider also tried to do, and probably with inflation-adjusted dollars, his fee was actually higher than the $5. But is there any middle ground that you see?
You know, that, I think that's still to be determined. The Speaker's office indicated that they didn't think they had the votes to actually move it at the $5. Whether that comes down to like $1, I think that's still going to be something to work out. But I just wanted to say that the $5 looks unlikely at this point because of the pushback, not only from stakeholders, but from legislators that do not want to support that initiative. So I'll continue to monitor that, whether there's any middle ground, but I think it's too early to tell right now.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Teal.
Thank you, Chair Burrow, and thank you for your presentation, Becky. You kicked everything off with revenue sharing. Do you have any idea of what the real dollars for Kent County would be in that executive recommendation?
I do not,
Okay,
but I will get that for you.
okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Commissioner DeBoer.
Thank you, Chair. I have a personal interest in the homeschooling registration. I'm wondering if there's an update on that.
I do not know, but I will find that out for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think Commissioner Hennessy is next. I'm sorry, earlier I was just looking at Commissioner Hennessy instead of LeGrand, thinking, all right, I was waiting for a hand, so that's why I wasn't even looking to my right. But Commissioner Hennessy, thank you so much.
You said on the court side, with our addition of one judge, that there'll be money to support the judge, given how much it costs to set up a new courtroom. What would be the support that would be given? Just the pay itself or beyond that?
I believe so, but I think the county administrator might have a better idea on the more specifics.
Okay. Also, I've heard that there is, in the governor's budget, an increase for the hourly pay for the in-home care workers. Is that true?
I have not seen that, but let me check for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Administrator Vandenberg, did you have a comment, or I know you were reaching for your microphone on the setup fees and things, so I just thought I'd let you have a second if you had something.
Yeah, so the county budget includes all the costs for the judge and the other positions that are necessary, such as a deputy and an assistant prosecutor and a clerk. The state basically covers the wage of the judge, yeah.
So that's all that's being committed here is to
And
cover
most
the
new
wage.
judges go into the state judge's retirement system as well.
Thank you.
Great. Any other commissioners? And Becky, thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
know we've tried to pick up the pace here in the last probably 3 to 6 months with some updates, so we really appreciate you doing that for us. Obviously, a lot of good questions coming out of this committee, all different ones, all different things that we're passionate about and know a lot about, and different things that we serve on. So again, I do appreciate that. Again, kind of with my role on DPW, I hear that same thing, that, hey, that's a no-go on the tipping fee there. Kent County's very aggressive and proud of the work we do in that area as well. So I think we do a good job without the state getting too involved. Just maybe one quick thing with the MEDC. You said there's some areas where there's 25 jobs and they were larger, but for a community our size to be giving those entrepreneurs and business owners kind of hoped that there could be items for them. So can you just maybe expand a little bit on the 25 jobs? Was that kind of just the threshold with what they'll be willing to participate with?
Yeah, so businesses, it allows them to capture the personal income tax withholding from new jobs created.
Okay.
So for the larger ones, if you create over 250 jobs, and then for the smaller companies, if you create over 250. And I'd be happy to provide you with more detail on those bills. I have it, can send that to you.
Right. I mean, there's just a lot of resources, I mean, between the right place and, even our locals, I think, do a great job of helping these small businesses with what they don't know. I think that's the biggest things with folks that are starting small businesses. They just don't know the resources that are out there for them. Getting together and brainstorming and talking is probably one of the biggest creations of ideas and knowing what what resources are available to us. So again, getting that out to the average mom and pop type business is a big deal. Getting the word out on that. So again, great. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Will we see you in Lansing in March?
Yes, you
And
will.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that and appreciate you setting that up for us and Lori setting that up for us and look forward to seeing you then.
Great, thank
All right,
you.
Thank you so much. All right, next item on our agenda, Administrator's Office and Board of Commissioners Performance Measurement Review. County Administrator Vanderberg.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Let's go through this. So today I'll just be highlighting a few areas of performance which reflect the county's values, engagement, and I think our look to the future that supports the important areas that the county engages in. So we'll be covering things like alignment with board priorities, department strategic goals, a few of the significant accomplishments, some of our key performance measurements, and also a look ahead. This is our county administration as far as our staff chart. One of the tasks I was given as a new administrator was to build a very professional staff, and we have accomplished that. And I wanted to mention too, in doing this, we created a whole new position you won't see much around the state, Strategic Impact Director. And the idea behind that position was to create a position that would focus internally on major projects that we might be able to get funding for, and then also to work with some of the big community projects that the county is a member of by virtue of some of the intergovernmental agreements and other things we do. And so in just over a year, our Strategic Impact Director, Josh, has been able to help the county secure more than $19 million in funding for 6 county and community projects. And so I think that it was a great new initiative. It's helped us focus a position that's showing a great return on investment. So some of the roles of the Administrator's Office: implementing board policy, facilitating development of the strategic plan, coordinating the board's legislative agenda, per state law, preparing the annual budget recommendations, develop procedures and implement policies, legal counsel, conducting program departmental and management analyses, and also communicating with our stakeholders. Some of our strategic goals have been to communicate consistently with all stakeholders, including, of course, our residents, to increase awareness and understanding of our operations, programs, services, and value, encouraging and fostering strategic public-private, nonprofit, intergovernmental, and interdepartmental collaborations and partnerships, and obviously maintaining the long-term financial health of the county while supporting effective programs and new programs where necessary. As part of creating a customer-centric culture, we believe that Kent County residents and businesses deserve the very best in service. So as part of our 6 C's initiative, we launched into Disney Way Kent customer service training. To date, we've had going on 600 Kent County employees complete the training, and generating over 4,000 valuable feedback points and ideas to enhance customer service. We've also had 200 participants participate in the first 2 cohorts of the Robinson Brain Health Program. So this program focuses on employee wellness, competency, and really managing brain chemistry within a range. And it's also been shown, predictive analytics have been shown, that if people stick to the brain health regimen, we can see significant savings in health, both employees and the county, over the longer term. So this is something we do plan to continue and work in the future to try to combine this even more with our physical health approach through our health insurance benefit. So one of the major initiatives of our board chair in our county has been to move on a state-funded crisis stabilization unit. So a lot of work has been put into lobbying for that. Also, the county board did allocate money from ARPA into that facility. Many of you were on the tour, not quite done, but well along in its development, and still on track, I think, to open somewhere in the April to June range. Also, the county worked to complete a couple studies now regarding broadband, and Kent County is currently positioning to benefit from the BEAD program that's bringing $1.6 billion of federal dollars to Michigan. Still waiting for the state to complete some of the work it's doing to make that program available for application. Fostering a welcoming community. The welcome plan has come off with all of our partners, has really been a positive thing. I remember when the Chamber of Commerce spoke here and commissioners asked, what can we do to help? And they said, keep moving that welcome plan because it's making a real difference in helping people assimilate into our Kent County community and workforce. The first Global Gathering Multicultural Festival was held, and that was a success. A couple grant writing workshops have been held. Let's see, I gotta lose my place here. Also, there's been a major progress in obtaining grant funding, including $2.5 million from HUD, to build Kent County's capacity to remove lead from homes and avoid elevated blood levels in our children. There's times, it seems like so many grant sources that we receive for years focus on education, and commissioners were very clearly saying, we want to see progress, we want to see lead levels in children declining, we want to see action, and we're definitely, thanks to both the board's ARPA allocation and some pretty good state grants, healthy state grants that have been achieved, that we are moving in those areas. Also, when we look at our tri-sector partnerships and involvement in the CAA, the board did vote in November to appropriate $15 million in hotel motel tax money to the Acrisure Amphitheater project. We've also focused a lot internally, looking at areas of the administration, how can we improve different functions in the administration. We had, for example, our first Toyota Catalina project in KCAA, looking at the weatherization process. I think it went from 257 days down to 90, and the goal is to get a lot better than that even. So we're looking to apply that kind of thinking to other county processes within the administration, and then to work with other county departments and offices to make these tools available there too. And really, when you look at lean thinking adopted from the private sector, it's a way really to increase resources by doing things more efficiently internally. And so that's a major focus that we have. We did complete an assessment on the Corporation Counsel Office. We've implemented a new structure, and one of the many areas we're focusing on. They have still been receiving a lot of FOIA requests, so they processed 7,019 FOIA requests last year, and so that is still a focus, and 99% of the FOIAs were responded to within 5 days. So I think that's a really good indication that of the excellent work that's being done. Indigent defense, our Corporation Counsel Office, the branch of that office that deals with appointments of indigent defense attorneys, appointed attorneys for 4,379 cases last year. And there was some addition of positions paid for by the state, full-time admin position, indigent defense admin analyst, to assist in processing private bar roster attorney invoices. And this was part of the county's implementation of the MIDC standard regarding attorney compensation, which required this to be done. Also, legislation was passed to add a new 63rd District Court. You'll recall the caseloads of our district court judges far exceeded that of other judges in the county, and really most district court judges in the state. And so this will bring better service to people who are required to go through our district court system. Also worked hard with MAC and PAA last year, among all the other counties in the state, to get a 5% boost in statutory revenue sharing, and also the earmark, the 2% earmark for public safety. And I'm glad to see that's in the governor's budget again for the following year. The county's been involved with different housing initiatives. In October, the board created the creation of the Kent County Affordable Housing Loan Fund Committee. This committee will oversee the implementation of the $17.5 million ARPA allocation, which we expect to grow to about $58 million, and really beyond, because we do expect other organizations to invest in that fund, and that will then achieve the same matching of roughly 2.2 to 1. It says 3 to 1. I believe it's actually 2.2 to 1. Communication, again, another year of major improvement. A new commissioner newsletter was launched. We had 8 quadrant meetings through the county, 10 work sessions, 22 informational meetings of the board, 531 newsletters went out. Also, I facilitated strategic planning for Wyoming and Rockford in the last year. But we're working hard to implement communication strategies to basically hopefully all of our stakeholders will become more aware of county government and what we do, and we'll have more of an engaging relationship with all of our stakeholders. And then I think also with the Week in Review, we've worked to try to improve communication between the administration and the board by just kind of a once a week, this is what happened this week, this is what's going on. As we look ahead, we've had really great participation with the Kent County 2050 futuring plan. And again, the goal of that is to look at 2050, have many of our organizations in the county work with us to determine what do we want Kent County to look like then, and then work backwards from there as we develop our strategic plans. Other organizations do. We believe that West Michigan is known for our collaborative partnerships, and we think that partnerships will be earlier, more readily recognizable, if we all get together and look at where we want to go. And obviously, many times the future is as good as the day we're in, and the next day things can change dramatically. So this is something where I think most organizations will take an annual look, assess where we're at, and then dig back into our own individual strategic planning, and then working together to make the 2050 a reality. But so far, we've had over 200 community leaders engaged and have gleaned insights into current and historical issues shaping our region. 96 organizations have signed up to participate so far, and 26 key trends have been identified, and the steering committee for 2050 is reviewing those. And then there are more engagement opportunities that will come in the near future. Also, I wanted to mention that we did get the high deductible HSA launched in January. This was a major goal that I had when I came to Kent County It really does put employees in more of a position of consumerism. They can have more choice, and they also have more skin in the game with the HSA. And so I think we'll find that that is something that will have a very positive impact in many different ways on healthcare in Kent County. And then, of course, the Insurance Authority is something that we're working to launch by October 1st and making good progress with that as well. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you so much. Commissioner Bujak.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to thank the administrator for today's presentation. I've attended many of those quadrant meetings that we do throughout the county, and having attended those and talking to the local township governments about those meetings, they're very appreciative of the county bringing itself from its lofty perch here in the county building, down to their level at the county, at the township meetings, where they can actually feel the presence of the county and ask questions and feel like they're actually, a part of the government in their input and feedback to the government. So thank you very much for doing those quadrant meetings. I'll probably be attending those again. I wanted to also speak about the employee survey that you've done. Every chance I get, when I go to the various county buildings, I talk to the employees there, and one of the questions I ask is, how well do you like your job? How satisfied are you with your compensation? And I've yet to see a dissatisfied county employee. They all love their jobs, and they all feel that they're justly compensated. So kudos to the county for creating a work environment and making Kent County a great place to work and raise a family. And as a commissioner, I've been involved with this government now for a year, and had a chance to see what's going on and get a feel. And I really think that under your administration, we're heading in the right direction. We're performing well financially, and the services that we're providing serves many people. So overall, I think we're headed in the right direction, and you're doing very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner LeGrand.
Thank you, Chair. Al, I'm wondering if you could, going back to the MIDC, that part of your presentation, can you explain exactly how the county interacts with what role it plays?
Yes, in
that?
fact.
It's a little complicated, right?
I appreciate the question. So back in, I think it was 2012 when the MIDC law passed, that replaced a state initiative where they were going to require counties to pay them a lot of money. I don't know what Kent's was, but in Ottawa it was over $1 million. And they were then going to make decisions on assigning counsel statewide. And we didn't like that because actually we thought we were doing a decent job of it at the time. And Kent County has had a long relationship where we've had a contractual relationship with a nonprofit called the Kent County Office of the Defender. And though we've made the assignments, they've provided the indigent defense. So I should say that the law that was passed, basically, we fought really hard to make sure that the state had to pay us for any changes they wanted. They adopted a series of, it was loosely based, I think, on the ABA standards, yeah. And basically, I think we had a mandate to do the first 5, and then they keep adding standards, but they keep paying to do that. In later years, I think there was a 4% fee attached that we pay, but really, for the most part, they pay for everything they mandate that we do. 4% on the original base amount that we got in 2012, the rolling 3-year average that they established as a base to base all future payments on, that amount, that lower amount increases 4% a year. So anyways, we're just recently completed a report that will be provided. We'll be getting a summary. It's a long report to the board, and there will be recommendations that come on maybe modifying that system some. But overall, I think it's worked well in Kent County as far as getting competent counsel assigned to people who can't afford an attorney. And I don't know if that was confusing or if that helped at all.
No,
But
that
feel free to
helped.
follow up
Okay.
if I can answer that better.
One more question. Can you flip back to the organizational chart? Because I wasn't all the way done reading it before we moved on. There's a lot of information on it.
It's interesting, this chart has its origin. Steve Patrick was an intern here. He became the long-term manager of Coopersville. See if I can make that any bigger.
Seems
Maybe
bigger last
Regina,
time.
you can help me.
Thank you.
Okay. So as you can see, basically, directly below the administrator, you have the various pieces of the county administration that report to me in the core administrator's office. And then off to the right on top are positions that report directly to me. And then also, you'll see, fiscal services, human resources, those are all functions that report to me. I have other ones like IT reports to Mark, Health Department reports to Jenny. So we've kind of divided that up among the three of us. And then you'll see emergency management with a dotted line. The sheriff and I occasionally arm wrestle over who has that, meaning I say she does, she says I do. And so we have as far as the boots on the ground day to day, it's the emergency management's in the sheriff's office. Under Michigan law, it could be either, and so it's technically under me for more of the administrative things and under the sheriff for the, the actual action part of it, so.
Thank you.
All right, I like the pictures too. It's really nice, as staff has increased, to really put faces and names instead of just seeing folks once a week, twice a week, where we can quick do a look at a photo and making sure we're getting names correctly. That's very helpful. I think I have Commissioner Diaz first, and I'll go back to the right of the.
Thank you,
My
Chair. Thanks for the presentation. I just had a quick question on the revolving loan fund. Do you have an idea on when that's going to be up and running and able to start using those funds?
I think we'll probably make the first loan approval this week.
It's already, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first loan approval is going in place. It's been running for 4 months now.
Okay, cool. No, that's good to hear, just because I read an article recently about some of the recent changes, at least at the GR city level, and how that's helping to spur some activity and more organizations with housing. So hopefully we'll start getting more progress with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had two commissioners, Commissioner Bujak.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to make a request of you, Al. Can you make a printout of this org chart, and on behalf of all the commissioners, put one in everyone's mailbox?
Sure.
I mean, I in general know this information, but to see it in front of me and have it and then see faces and names, that's very helpful. So I think I'm going to put this in my backpack and keep it handy. So I'd like to get a copy of that.
Okay, you bet. Glad to do it. As long as you don't make the dartboard part the guy on the top on the left, kind of, so, yeah.
That will be a board retreat, the dartboard.
Yeah, there you go.
And, big photo there. Commissioner Hennessy.
Thank you. Could you talk a little bit, to talk about our role in economic development and our relationships with other organizations in the community?
Sure, yeah, I'd be glad to. So Kent County made the decision a long time ago to fund the right place for some of those core economic development functions, like working with tax increment financing at the company level, helping companies and local governments figure out how to fund projects through DDAs or corridor districts or BRAs or that type of thing. And then also the right place to tax some of those greater economic, they go after mainly manufacturing businesses, kind of the front door to the county for manufacturing business expansion, and also attracting new businesses. And also they work on applying for grants for economic development where needed. Some local units may prefer to do that on their own. Others may need assistance, so they do that. So some of those core services that you might find a city or a township or a county economic development department do, the Right Place does that. And then obviously they also work hard on issues like talent. They have big initiatives like making Grand Rapids and Kent County a technology hub, kind of like Washtenaw and Ann Arbor. And so some of the bigger, more macro issues they attack as well. But when you get to an organization of our size, economic development takes many different shapes and forms. So our membership in the Convention Arena Authority, which we created 20 years ago to build the, well, 22 years ago, to build the convention center, is economic development. It creates a lot of jobs, a lot of wealth in the community, and a lot of fun things for people around here to do. And then also, you look at, the BRA, which the board is just in the process of creating. That's a tool that a countywide BRA, so some of our local units have BRAs. This does not conflict with that. They could use our BRA for a project, or they could use their own BRA. My guess is that the local unit BRAs that choose to delve into housing with the legislative changes that happened last year, there's, I think, a pretty good chance that they'll want to run those through the county one because of the massive amount of paperwork that's required for those. So, I mean, there would be a cost to them to actually do that paperwork on their own. So I'm thinking they'll probably want to work with us on that. So that, I represent, I mean, I'm on the DDA, that's Grand Rapids DDA, and the Smart Zone Board. So those are both kind of different ways of doing economic development. In my way of thinking, running a county government that's frugal on spending money, has one of the lower tax rates in the state, has high credit ratings, that's economic development. Because one of the things that companies look at when they're deciding to locate somewhere is what's the cost of doing business. And taxes and fees and all those sorts of things are costs of doing business, and yet we remain a place that people and businesses want to come to. So I look at economic development very expansively, where some might look at it as a department doing a very limited number of things. But I think a lot of what we do relates directly to economic development.
All right, thank you so much. Any other commissioners? Again, I think this committee over the last year and a half, just lots of great questions. A lot of it's because most of us are still fairly new, but also that also means that we're very engaged with what we're doing. We're reading the materials that we're getting and understanding for the most part what's going on, because there's so many moving parts in county government, and I'm sure we're all still learning every day. I think my favorite photo on there was Al riding the pygmy hippo. So I think I think adrenaline. I think I was laughing for a couple minutes while you were talking, because I just thought it was the neatest thing. Just one item that stands out is the amount of FOIA requests that we do get. The money that it costs the county. It costs the county more money to process those fees than to collect it. So many times that's just a loss. I mean, that's a lot of work by a lot of our staff with no dollars coming back, or we'd be losing a couple dollars on that. So again, I think it gets easier with technology than it did years ago, but it's still a huge undertaking for our staff. So just know that when that stats up there, that means they're not doing other things for the county that we could have them doing. So I think great presentation again, great comments and questions. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job. All right, next item on our agenda, we'll go to the full board on the 14th of March. This is brought to us by the Health Department. It is to add 1.7 FTE for an outreach worker position for the city of Grand Rapids. This is a HUD grant. Can I have a motion and support? Motion by LeGrand, supported by Pakla. Commissioners, this was in our board packet, the recommendation, the summary of the request. So I guess I'm asking if there is any comments or questions for staff at this point in time. Commissioner Hennessy.
This is one of the HUD programs that is aiming to reduce the lead in homes. Do we, and I think this is a little bit of an indirect type of assistance here, but do we have numbers on where we have, I mean, how many homes we have actually remediated, eliminated the lead? Do we, we started this, what I'm pleased about is that we started this program to address the lead in homes many years ago. There were very few of us, Commissioner Ponstein and I definitely were on the board at that point, but I'm not sure about anybody else. But we followed this through, and I'm just wondering what the total progress is that we are making on this, and if there's a way of measuring it, because we keep, and I'm really pleased that we're able to add 0.7 person, staff persons to help this. But how do we put it all together?
All right, Joanne, do you have any comments or questions? Jenny's coming up as well, so we might have a couple comments here from both.
I cannot answer the question about how many houses or residences have been abated or remediated up until now, but I think we could probably get that information.
She is correct. We can get that information for you. Also wanted to remind you that we have another HUD grant to build capacity to do just what you're describing, Commissioner Hennessy, and we also have ARPA funds that the board allocated for the actual inspection and remediation in response to the comments that the board has had in the past.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Any other commissioners' comments or questions? If not, Commissioner Diaz.
Sorry, and this is, I think, just kind of building off that conversation, and I think only slightly related to this. But I know that we talk about this lead remediation often at KCCA on the governing board. And I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I just remember seeing and thinking that there's a lot of work still to be done. And so I don't know if there's some way, I'd be interested to have further conversations to see if the county, or in a partnership between the county and the local units, if we can find some type of funding to do more work and advance even faster than we are now. I know a lot of that, the bind that we were in was finding contractors to actually be able to do that work. I think there was an event, I think at DeVos maybe last month or a month and a half ago, to try and find some contractors, and last I heard, they did find a good number of them. But it's gonna take a minute to get that done, and hopefully we can find some way to keep funding that and get that lead out of these homes as quickly as possible. But great to see that this is coming before us, and hopefully we'll have more of that soon.
All right, I see Jenny kind of getting up and wanting to address that for you.
Yeah, there is another HUD grant opportunity after the capacity building grant that we could pursue that would give even more money into Kent County for the remediation of homes. And we can also keep you up to speed as the new program gets going on what progress we're making. And you're right on the contractor end. We do have a good partnership with ICCF, I think it is, who's working really hard on the contractor recruitment piece, and we need that for weatherization also. So it's a pretty broad need in the community.
Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, just to follow up, I know that Al has done a lot of work in this with the state level too. If you could just talk about some of the other initiatives around lead exposure that Commissioner Diaz referred to.
Yes, so I do sit on the Commission for Lead Exposure Elimination in Children, CLEAC. So I have to think through the acronym sometimes. But right now, we're actually going to be in the process of updating our strategic planning based on the law that passed last year that requires more testing at an earlier age for lead exposure. And we do have several groups that are working on various aspects of that. There's been a focus on trying to provide a lot. When you look at the state, you look at Kent County, Kent County, the eastern three large counties, there's probably 15 to 20 counties that really have a lot of capacity to deal with this. So the commission spends a fair amount of time focusing on, how can we impact this statewide? How can we empower local health departments and also work to create partnerships with parts of the community that may not want to engage in, there are some interests that would be very expensive for them to remove lead. So we've been working to try to build bridges with some of those areas too. But I'd be happy to provide, as soon as we get our latest plan updated, to get that out to the board so you can see what that group is working on.
Great. Any other, Commissioner, Jenny?
I'll just add one other thing. At our lead meeting last week, we had a map that showed all the properties with homes that were built before 1978, and it touches every piece of Kent County. So this is an initiative that is impactful both downtown and out counties, so it needs our attention for sure.
Great. Any other commissioner comments or questions? I'll just add a couple things. Even though that was outlawed in '78, lead-based was an expensive paint to use even after World War II with the housing boom. So you would think that there would be even more. So because of the cost getting out of World War II, that isn't, it doesn't encapsulate all those homes. But again, it's still an issue. Obviously, we need to be concerned with. And as a home builder, it's a lot easier for me to build new homes than it is to help in lead remediation. So to Commissioner Diaz's point, you'll have a lot of your new home builders that don't want to touch this either because it's just, it's time consuming, it's a lot of work, a lot of paperwork to do. So again, that is part of the problem with getting contractors that are already up and operating to move over into that area. So. If there's no other comments or questions, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed? That has passed. All right, next item on our agenda is Commissioner Miscellaneous. Is there any miscellaneous today? Commissioner Bujak.
Thank you, Chair. This is another administrative request. On that org chart, if you could update some of the pictures also. We have some new administrators that weren't updated on the far left side of that, parks and facilities. And I made an interesting observation. When you take that org chart and you hold it up to the room and you look at the seating, they're almost sitting in the exact same locations that they are on the chart. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And including those like in the front, that's this line, and those in the back. So just an observation I made today.
I mean, I could organize the room that way if you'd like.
Yeah, I don't know if you had assigned seatings back there, but.
Yeah, it's under their chair, right? Their name.
They get a bonus if they sit in the front row, but they don't want it. It's like church. Commissioner Bonstein.
Thank you, Chair Burrell. So Al, my request, I know I've been talking about this for 10, 12 years, and I know you've taken on to restructure how we meet here and what our responsibilities are. I know I've been told time and time again that the Finance Committee does all the heavy lifting, and we're just kind of an afterthought. So when I got an email this week about this agenda, that somehow a group that used to come to the full commission to give us an update on their activities, the Conservation District, has been moved to the Legislative and Human Resources Committee to, I guess, ponder. One thing about when groups come in and speak to the full commission, there's a lot of new commissioners that there are a lot of things that are happening in this county that they have no idea or haven't heard about it. This is one of them. And then recently when we started giving money back to the district after it was cut off decades ago, I guess I don't understand how then these things get assigned, because if the conservation districts are receiving money from us, why did it come here? Shouldn't it have gone to the Finance Committee? And if this is going to be the new thing, that these special order of businesses are going to be handled by the smaller committees, the standing committees, I don't know what input the full board's getting. I know we have a executive committee that meets. I know both parties now have caucus meetings, and if you have a job where you can't make it, I guess your opinion or voice doesn't hurt. It's just kind of a disturbing trend. I mean, we've been here an hour, and we're worried about the length of the meeting, and that's why we decided that we would have a written report from a group that does a lot of great things in this community, instead of having them here to see who they are, if they've had any staff changes, and, give me all the reports you want. I'll read them once, and then they gather dust. I think the verbal presentations are far more effective. So what I'm asking is, where are we at on restructuring these committees so all county commissioners have a more active voice in what we decide to do as a county?
Well, the new structure goes into effect January 1, 2025. Chair Steck did ask that we put together an implementation committee to try to look ahead and work through some of the expected bumps in the road that we might see due to that. So I guess that's the short answer. Maybe a little bit different answer is that, I mean, this is your place and time, and so what you want to hear at these meetings really is a function more of what you want and your conversations with the chair, and not necessarily me wanting to streamline this time here. So what I'm saying is, even with the board rules, staff was there to present possibilities. We thought through it and put different options up. But certainly I think, when commission meets in standing committees, when the commission meets in the full board, that's really your time, to do what you want to do in this room, and then we help make that happen to the very best that we can.
All right, any other commissioner comments or questions? Commissioner Hennessy.
Well, to follow up, I do think that there is a lot to be said. When we received the performance report this morning, and then when you receive the verbal report, everything comes together. You're receiving the information in multiple ways, different things are emphasized. And, I would say the same thing when it comes to the Conservation District. When they do their presentations, or anybody who submits a written report, and we had one recently from the zoo as well, if you hear the verbal report, and then our responses to it, it just gives us a fuller picture of what's going on. But with the Conservation District, pay attention. I mean, they're really good, and they do a lot with a little bit of money, and to help our farmers, to help the land of Kent County, and to keep it strong. So their annual meeting date is on Thursday, March 21st, from 6 to 8 up in Rockford. And it's one that I try to attend every year, and it's really the administrator attends it as well, and has been a speaker the last few years. I don't know if you are again this year.
2 in a row was enough. I said, I don't have much for a third in a row on soil conservation, so.
But it's really a good group, and you will gain so much more if you actually hear them in person and interact with the people who are doing this work. Thank you.
Yes.
Just wanted to mention, to follow up with Carol, it's a 14 to 1 return on investment. So they can actually take the money and leverage it like crazy. And just as a reminder, we stopped funding the district when I was here the first time, and it had to do with staff eons ago. There were some problems with management of that, and the county board stopped investing. But they do have mandates that only they can perform. We've tried, wherever I've been in past years, have tried to change the state law so that they could maybe become part of our county and with maybe another department like drain or environmental health or something like that. State hasn't been willing to do that. And state also went through a period of time where they weren't funding the district, which they're mandated to do. So I think that it provides good balance for the county to be part of that scene.
All right. Commissioner Diaz.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick reminder that tonight is the soccer stadium community open house from 6 to 8 p.m. at the LV Eberhard Center, 3001 Fulton. I was at the open house or community event at the Hispanic Center maybe 2 weeks ago now. And it was a good presentation, good event. But in my opinion, there were still a lot of questions that were unanswered, even from the community members. And so hopefully tonight they'll be able to answer those questions, or in the near future answer those questions. But hope to see you all there because it's an important project, and hopefully we can get some more details on how that project will benefit all of our communities.
All right, Commissioner Pacla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just taking a cue from the sticker that our administrator is wearing to remind everybody that it's an election day for the presidential primaries, although early voting has been open for at least 8 days. So appreciate everybody that's engaging in that, and looking forward to continuing to engage democracy throughout the year.
All right, great. If there's no other commissioner comment, just again, a reminder, March the 12th is our day at the state capitol. Yeah, so that will take place on, again, Tuesday, March the 12th. So please try to make arrangements to be there for that day. Seeing no one else, meeting is adjourned.